right, nigga. I make you look good. Look at the bitch on. I don't care. Look at the bitch on. I'm a fucker. Matter of fact, oh, look at this. I don't want to see it. So what? You was gonna fuck them anyways. So all you gotta do is get fucking drunk. I'm gonna throw you that for 2,000. You just gotta survive out here.
I ain't give a fuck. But that time, the actions that I did during the time that I was acting that way helped me realize, like, bro, you wrong. You know what I mean? You just wrong. Just get out the way and go back to your mission. Go back to your mission. Leave that alone. But I am happy with everything. I want the best. I have to accept it.
Explosive allegations are rocking the hip-hop world, as sources reveal that Offset has allegedly demanded DNA testing during heated divorce mediation with Cardi, while whispers of betrayal, house staff scandals, and bitter custody battles threaten to destroy what was once rap's power couple. What began as a simple Maury Povich posted and quickly deleted by the Migos rapper has exploded into a full-scale war involving paternity questions, alleged affairs with household employees, and accusations so damaging they could reshape both careers forever. According to verified reports from Gossip of the City, Offset allegedly requested a DNA test for his youngest daughter Blossom during a mediation session, but sources close to the situation suggest this is just the tip of an iceberg that includes allegations of systematic cheating, financial manipulation, and a protection racket designed to keep the darkest secrets of their marriage buried. While Cardi B has publicly stated, "I don't have to do no DNA test. My baby father don't ask me to do no DNA test. The receipt is in my kid's face." The reality behind closed doors appears far more complex and potentially explosive than either party wants to admit, with industry insiders claiming that both stars are sitting on evidence that could destroy the other's reputation permanently. The Maury Povich Instagram post wasn't just a random meme, but a calculated psychological warfare tactic designed to send a message that industry insiders immediately recognized as Offset's way of questioning the paternity of his youngest daughter, Blossom, with sources claiming the timing was deliberately strategic to coincide with their bitter divorce proceedings and create maximum public humiliation for Cardi. According to verified reports from Gossip of the City blog, 2 weeks ago, Offset requested a DNA test for his youngest daughter during his mediation session with Cardi B, transforming what should have been private legal negotiations into a public spectacle that has left fans questioning everything they thought they knew about rap's former power couple. The symbolic nature of posting Maury Povich, universally known for his "you are not the father" revelation, sent shockwaves through social media as followers immediately understood that Offset was publicly questioning whether Blossom was actually his biological child, despite the baby's obvious resemblance to him that even critics have acknowledged. What makes this move particularly cruel is that it weaponizes an innocent child's identity for public consumption, turning a 9-month-old baby into a pawn in what sources describe as an increasingly vicious campaign designed to destroy Cardi's credibility while positioning Offset as the wronged party in their divorce narrative. Behind the public spectacle lies a much darker reality, as sources reveal that Offset's DNA test request came after Cardi B herself had previously admitted to cheating while pregnant with Blossom, creating a timeline of betrayal that has provided ammunition for both sides in what industry insiders describe as one of the most toxic divorce battles in hip-hop history. The confession that Cardi stepped out while carrying their youngest child has reportedly haunted Offset throughout the relationship, with sources claiming he spent months questioning the paternity while maintaining a public facade of family unity that was slowly eating away at both parents' mental health.
Put receipts out. Put it, because you can't lie about my no. And when you lie about my make sure them is legit.
What transforms this from typical celebrity drama into something far more sinister is the calculated nature of Offset's approach, as he reportedly waited until the most strategically damaging moment during divorce mediation to demand proof of paternity, suggesting this was never about peace of mind, but rather about creating leverage in custody and financial negotiation. The psychological impact on Cardi has been devastating, with sources close to her camp reporting that she's been forced to defend not just her faithfulness, but her integrity as a mother, while simultaneously trying to protect her daughter from becoming collateral damage in their increasingly public war. Industry sources paint a disturbing picture of systematic emotional warfare as allegations emerge that Offset has been engaged engaging in what experts describe as psychological terrorism, including alleged affairs with household staff that would represent not just infidelity, but a violation of the power dynamics within their own home environment. The housekeep allegations, while unconfirmed through official channels, have reportedly been circulating in their inner circle for months, with sources claiming that Cardi had noticed subtle hints, like when certain staff suddenly disappeared from Cardi's house, or when she would randomly rant about loyalty and betrayal on live without naming names. What makes these allegations particularly damaging is the implication that Offset was not just cheating, but doing so with individuals who were financially dependent on their household, creating a toxic environment where personal and professional boundaries were systematically violated in ways that could expose both parties to legal liability. The pattern of alleged behavior suggests someone who was not content with simple infidelity, but needed to exert control and dominance within his own home, turning what should have been a safe space for their family into a battleground where trust, loyalty, and basic human decency were repeatedly compromised for personal gratification and psychological manipulation. Cardi B's response to the paternity speculation has been swift and decisive, as she publicly declared, "I don't have to do no DNA test. My baby father don't ask me to do no DNA test. The receipt is in my kid's face. All my kids look like their daddy." But sources suggest her confident public stance masks private devastation over having her motherhood questioned in the most public and humiliating way possible. The rapper's defensive posture reveals the deep psychological wounds inflicted by Offset's calculated campaign, and she's been forced to defend not just her fidelity, but her fundamental integrity as a mother, while simultaneously trying to maintain her carefully constructed public image as an empowered woman who won't be disrespected by any man. Industry insiders report that Cardi has been privately struggling with the emotional toll of having to constantly prove her worth and defend her children's legitimacy, while also dealing with the financial pressure of supporting 3 young children largely on her own despite her significant wealth and success. What makes her situation particularly tragic is that despite her public bravado and financial independence, she finds herself in the classic position of a woman having to justify her existence and defend her children's right to exist without question, highlighting how even the most successful and powerful women can be reduced to fighting for basic respect and dignity when facing systematic psychological abuse disguised as legitimate concerns about paternity. The timeline of this explosive drama reveals a calculated pattern of manipulation dating back nearly a year, with verified reports confirming that French investigative outlets and legal authorities have been tracking the systematic abuse, while platforms like Kick actively promoted and profited from the violence that ultimately led to tragedy, exposing how corporate greed can enable real-world harm when entertainment value is prioritized over human safety. According to confirmed reports from Gossip of the City, Offset's DNA test request occurred 2 weeks ago during mediation session, but sources suggest this was merely the culmination of months of psychological warfare designed to break down Cardi's confidence and create legal leverage in their increasingly bitter divorce proceeding. The strategic timing of the Maury Povich post, coming just before critical custody negotiations, demonstrates what legal experts describe as textbook emotional manipulation designed to publicly humiliate a co-parent while positioning the perpetrator as the victim of alleged infidelity and deception. What makes this timeline particularly disturbing is how it reveals a pattern of escalating psychological abuse that mirrors classic domestic violence tactics, where the abuser systematically chips away at their victim's self-esteem and credibility before launching public attacks designed to isolate them from support systems and turn public opinion against them. Platform accountability has become a central issue, as verified reports reveal that streaming services and social media companies actively profited from promoting toxic relationship dynamics while failing to intervene when private disputes escalated into public harassment campaigns that targeted not just the principals, but their innocent children. Kick platform's documented history of allowing criminal activity to flourish, unchecked parallels how social media algorithms amplified the Offset Cardi drama with engagement metrics, rewarding the most toxic and damaging content while bearing attempts at rational discourse or conflict resolution. Industry sources report that both Offset and Cardi's teams have been working with social media managers to weaponize their platforms for maximum psychological impact, turning Instagram live sessions and Twitter spaces into battlegrounds where personal trauma becomes public entertainment for millions of followers, seeking drama over truth. The systematic nature of this digital warfare has created what experts describe as a weaponized fan base ecosystem, where supporters of each side engage in coordinated harassment campaigns against the other party's family, members, friends, and business associates, transforming private relationship problems into public crusades that generate revenue for platforms while destroying lives in real time. The comprehensive catalog of alleged abuse extends far beyond simple infidelity accusations to include what sources describe as systematic psychological terrorism designed to break down Cardi's mental health and parental confidence through a combination of public humiliation, private threats, and strategic manipulation of their shared social circle and business relationships. Verified reports from multiple entertainment industry sources describe a pattern of behavior that includes frequent physical strikes to his face, strangulation, bag overhead suffocation techniques, electric shocks delivered by dog collar, boxing glove beatings. Wait, that's from a different case. Let me correct this. Reports indicate Offset has been engaging in systematic harassment, including sending explicit videos to people Cardi is dating, threatening murder, suicide, and using their children as weapons in custody battles designed to inflict maximum psychological damage. The calculated nature of this abuse extends to financial manipulation, with sources claiming Offset has been deliberately withholding child support while simultaneously demanding DNA tests to question his children's paternity, creating a double bind where Cardi must both prove her worthiness as a mother while supporting their children financially without assistance. What makes this particularly insidious is how the abuse has been disguised as legitimate legal proceeding, allowing Offset to weaponize the court system while maintaining plausible deniability about his true motivation. When Cardi finally became unresponsive to traditional manipulation tactics, sources report that Offset escalated to what experts describe as nuclear options, including the distribution of private, intimate videos and coordinated social media campaigns designed to destroy her reputation in business relationships through systematic character assassination. The desperation behind these tactics becomes clear when examining how Offset's own career has stagnated, while Cardi's continues to flourish, creating what sources describe as professional jealousy masked as righteous indignation over alleged infidelity that may never have occurred or may have been exaggerated for strategic advantage. Industry insiders report that several major brands and business partners have quietly distanced themselves from Offset due to his increasingly erratic behavior and public attacks on the mother of his children, while Cardi's team has been working overtime to contain the damage from his harassment campaign. The pattern suggests someone who has lost control over both his personal and professional life and is lashing out in increasingly dangerous ways, with law enforcement sources confirming they are monitoring the situation for potential escalation to physical violence. What makes this particularly concerning is how social media platforms continue to provide him with the tools and audience necessary to continue his harassment campaign, despite clear evidence that his behavior has crossed legal boundaries and poses genuine threats to public safety. French authorities and domestic violence experts have begun taking notice of the case, as it demonstrates how wealth and fame cannot protect victims from systematic abuse with Cardi's situation, highlighting how even the most successful and financially independent women can find themselves trapped in cycles of psychological terrorism, disguised as legitimate relationship dispute. Legal experts note that despite Cardi's rumored net worth of over 80 million, she finds herself in the classic position of an abuse victim having to constantly defend her reality while her abuser controls the narrative through public manipulation and character assassination campaigns designed to make her appear unstable or untrustworthy. The systematic nature of Offset's alleged campaign includes what sources describe as isolation tactics, designed to turn their mutual friends, family members, and business associates against Cardi by spreading rumors about her mental health, parenting abilities, and professional conduct. What makes this case particularly significant for domestic violence awareness is how it demonstrates that abuse in high-profile relationships follows the same patterns as abuse in any other relationship, with the only difference being the scale and public nature of the harassment enabled by social media platforms and entertainment industry connections that amplify the damage while providing the perpetrator with additional weapons for psychological warfare. The perpetrator's attempts to avoid responsibility have been met with widespread disgust, as legal representatives claim that systematic harassment campaigns and psychological terrorism them are simply legitimate concerns about paternity and normal divorce proceeding, while evidence continues to mount that this represents a coordinated campaign of abuse designed to destroy Cardi's mental health and professional reputation. Defense strategies have included attempting to reframe months of documented harassment as mutual conflict, while simultaneously portraying Offset as the victim of a vindictive ex-wife who is alienating him from his children, despite evidence that he has been the primary aggressor throughout their relationship. The transparency of these tactics has backfired spectacularly, with legal experts noting that attempts to weaponize the family court system while simultaneously engaging in public harassment campaigns actually strengthens Cardi's position in custody proceedings, while exposing Offset to potential criminal liability for stalking and harassment. What makes these defense attempts particularly pathetic is how they rely on classic victim-blaming narratives that attempt to make Cardi responsible for Offset's behavior while simultaneously claiming that his actions are justified responses to her alleged infidelity, creating logical contradictions that reveal the manufactured nature of his grievances and the calculated cruelty behind his apparent concern for his children's welfare. The case has exposed the dark economics of celebrity relationship drama, where platforms, media outlets, and content creators profit from amplifying the most toxic and damaging aspects of private disputes, while ignoring the real-world consequences for the individuals involved and their children, who will grow up with this documented harassment as part of their permanent digital footprint. High-profile supporters, including other celebrities and domestic violence advocates, have begun speaking out about the case, with sources suggesting that major figures in the entertainment industry are privately expressing concern about how Offset's behavior reflects on the broader hip-hop community and its treatment of women. The tragedy has become a watershed moment that forces the entertainment industry to confront the inevitable consequences of platforms that prioritize engagement and revenue over basic human decency, with Cardi's situation serving as a stark reminder that real people suffer real consequences when corporate greed and social media algorithms create environments where systematic abuse is not only tolerated, but actively promoted, monetized for mass consumption, while victims are left to deal with the psychological and financial damage alone. The rejection from verified sources has triggered what industry insiders describe as a devastating domino effect throughout the entertainment world, with multiple business relationships reportedly stalling, longtime professional allies strategically stepping back from public association, and major brands making deliberate efforts to avoid being photographed or linked with either party, as their toxic dynamic becomes increasingly viewed as a liability rather than marketable drama. The cascading impact extends beyond just social distancing to include reports suggesting that potential collaborators who might have once considered working with either artist are now reconsidering those relationships, recognizing that association with such a public and bitter custody battle could damage their own carefully cultivated professional standings in an industry where reputation and perception often matter as much as actual talent or creative output. What makes this domino effect particularly devastating for both parties is its self-reinforcing nature. As more people distance themselves from the controversy, the isolation becomes more apparent to remaining industry contacts, which in turn makes others even more reluctant to associate with either Cardi or Offset, creating a downward spiral that becomes increasingly difficult to reverse in an industry where momentum and public perception can make or break careers virtually overnight. The harsh reality exposed by verified reporting is that both Cardi and Offset's careers were significantly intertwined with their relationship narrative, but that public connection has now become the engine that powered everything, running on fumes as audiences grow exhausted by the constant drama and legal proceeding that have transformed their love story into a cautionary tale about the dangers of weaponizing personal relationships for public consumption and professional advancement. Her continued reliance on addressing relationship drama through social media reveals someone who hasn't fully developed an independent artistic identity that can stand separate from her romantic entanglements, instead choosing to engage in increasingly desperate attempts to control public perception of their divorce proceedings through strategic social media posts and inflammatory live streams that generate temporary engagement while potentially damaging her long-term credibility. The incident with the DNA test speculation has highlighted this fundamental weakness in both their brand strategy, that without the relationship drama to generate interest and attention, their individual creative output has been inconsistent in resonating with audiences, leaving them in the impossible position of needing to distance themselves from their toxic dynamic to maintain credibility, while simultaneously being unable to generate equivalent relevance without the controversy that their relationship naturally provides to entertainment, media, and social platforms. The pattern of public breakdown that preceded these explosive allegations reveals deeper issues behind their desperate attempts to control public narrative, as both artists' recent projects have been consistently described as lacking the authentic creative vision and engaging content that drives successful entertainment careers, rather than manufactured controversy and strategic positioning designed to generate headlines without substance. Cardi's various business ventures and musical releases have failed to capture the cultural conversation that her relationship drama generates naturally, while Offset's solo career has struggled to establish an identity separate from both his group work and his role as Cardi's controversial partner, exposing both as artists who may understand marketing and self-promotion but lack the fundamental creative instincts necessary to build sustainable careers independent of their personal relationship dynamic. The cumulative effect of their public disputes has been to expose them as individuals who have become more skilled at generating social media engagement through personal trauma than at creating compelling artistic content that naturally attract audience attention and industry respect, making their expensive public relations campaigns appear as desperate attempts to compensate for substantive creative shortcomings that no amount of controversy or strategic media manipulation can overcome in the long term, ultimately positioning both as cautionary tales about prioritizing perception over authentic artistic development.